Welcome to our 1-hour Christmas New Year special of fusion grain cooking, where we take the foods you eat every day and add grains to make them healthy and nutritious for you. I am so excited about this 1-hour holiday special. We're going to be doing so many wonderful things, from setting the table to the perfect buffet table. We're going to be making some wonderful Christmas treats, popcorn, fudge, my favorite of all things for the holiday season. And we're going to be making, of course, that fabulous holiday ham, and we're going to top that off with some wonderful braided breads. You are going to love this 1-hour special of fusion grain cooking. You know, those holiday hams can be pretty overwhelming, can't they? And expensive if you go out and buy one of those really expensive ones. I'm going to show you right now how to do your own ham from start to finish. One of the most important steps is that brining. Just like in our previous holiday show where we did the turkey brine, we do a ham brine. The only difference is you change the sugars off. And remember, all the recipes that we do today will be at chefbrad.com or byutv.org. The ham has been brining overnight in a brown sugar salt brine that will make it tender and add wonderful flavor to it. So we have about an 8 to 10 pound brined ham here, and now we're just going to finish it off. I've cut it with a knife to the fat. We want to leave the fat on because that's going to add some flavor to it. And so now is what I'm going to do is I have some cloves here, and I'm just going to dump some out because I don't want to keep dipping my fingers into the clove jar. So I'm going to take little cloves, and you just kind of put them in because this is kind of what adds to the flavor of the ham, or these cloves. The cloves kind of just sinks down in there and just flavors it up as it bakes. A couple more there. Okay, now I have a nice glaze that I've prepared with a little bit of mustard, maple syrup, brown sugar, and some other ingredients. And this recipe also will be on the website or at byutv.org. So we're going to take this glaze and we're just going to kind of put this over the ham. We want to make sure it kind of drizzles down into those little crevices there. And this is going to make it just absolutely flavorful and wonderful. And then the drippings you can save to make a glaze to go over it when it's done. And we can save a little bit of this that we can put over it in the end. So we're going to save some. Now, the last thing I'm going to do is I have some crystallized ginger, and I'm just going to sprinkle this over the top of it. And that's going to give it a nice flavor too. These are just little ginger pieces that you can find in your local grocery store, and they've been crystallized and they have a really wonderful sugary flavor to it. Now we're going to roast this in an oven. Start out about 400 degrees for about 15 to 20 minutes, and we'll drop the temperature down to about 325 for about 2 hours, and we'll have a beautiful roasted ham. Chicken wings are a great part of the holiday season, aren't they? I mean, when you have a party, it's a great thing to bring or to serve when you have people over. I have a great recipe for chicken wings that I want to share with you right now. Is what I've done, I've already marinated my chicken wings. And this recipe is kind of a two-part process. You want to marinate the chicken wings first, and then after we marinate them, we're going to cook them again. You reserve half of the marinade and mix it with a cup of barbecue sauce. And then we have this, and we're going to pour this in a pan. And we're going to get this bubbly and hot, and we're going to toss the chicken wings in there and coat them with that. So we have our chicken wings here that have already been cooked, and we're just going to kind of throw them in our pot here. Now, don't fret about the recipe. You can find this, like all the recipes for this show and all of our shows, are at chefbrad.com or byutv.org. Okay. We have those in there, and I have a nice wooden spoon that I'm going to scrape this with, and we're just going to cook them up for just a minute. So we're going to take this and just turn them in there and coat them with that marinade and barbecue sauce. Oh, you can just smell that. Oh, absolutely wonderful. And this is a perfect pan to cook this in. This is a enamel cookware, and it's great to do this kind of thing. It gets very hot, and so it's going to caramelize There we go. We're just going to coat those really good. That sauce is nice and hot. Okay, then we're going to take these, and I have a pan here. I'm going to dump them right in this pan for serving. And I can take them right in this pan. It's an oven-proof pan, and keep them in the warming drawer in the oven until I'm ready to serve. Popcorn is essential in the holiday season. And I love popcorn. We eat it all year round, but the recipes we're going to show you today I only make during the holiday season because I have absolutely no self-control. I could just eat them constantly. The first thing we're going to do is we're going to pop our popcorn for the recipes, and I'm using a stovetop popcorn popper. They're great. This one is an aluminum one, which isn't my favorite. I have a beautiful stainless steel one at home that I absolutely love, but they work great. And as all you do to do these is we're going to take our oil, and we're using coconut oil. We're going to put a spoon of coconut oil in there, and coconut oil is great for popping popcorn. And we're going to put in a half a cup of popcorn. And then as all you do is you just stir that around. When it starts to pop, it's going to move it around, and in minutes you have a wonderful big pot of popcorn. Once it starts to pop, though, we're going to close the lid. I just kind of want you to see what's going on in there. That little thing on the bottom moves it around, and that's what keeps it from burning, which is going to be really essential. And another thing we're going to do in just a couple minutes. So it's starting to pop. So we're going to close the lid now, and we're just going to turn this, and it goes very quickly. Once it starts to pop, it's going to go very quickly. One thing about popping corn, make sure you buy a really good quality gourmet popcorn. That way you have all corn and not very many old maids in the bottom of the pan. Popcorn really is very healthy for you, especially when you cook it in the coconut oil. Now, you can see how quickly that's popping. Listen to that. And I'm turning it to keep it from sticking to the bottom. And you can tell when it almost quits popping that it's done and it gets hard to turn. There we go, beautiful. Now we're just gonna lift up this lid and kind of dump it out into the pan. And that was great. Faster than a microwave and a lot healthier for you than microwave popcorn. We're gonna do this a couple more times so we have all the popcorn we need for the popcorn treats that we're gonna be making for you. One of the absolutely favorite things I love to make is kettle corn, especially around the holiday season. You can make all kinds of flavors. If you get some really nice oils like strawberry oil or orange oil and add them to it, it works great. We're going to do a cinnamon kettle corn for you right now. Once the popcorn starts to pop, we're going to dump in some cinnamon and sugar, and then it's going to cool down and quit popping again for a minute and until that sugar starts to caramelize. And then once it starts to caramelize, it's going to coat. As that popcorn pops up to it, it's going to coat every kernel with a wonderful sugar cinnamon coating. Okay, they're starting to pop. We're going to dump in our sugar and our cinnamon, close the lid, and start to turn. And then it cools down for a minute, and then it's going to start popping again. And once it starts to pop, it goes just like that. It takes a moment, but once that starts popping again, it goes very, very quickly. And you just stir until it gets hard to stir, and then you know it's pretty much done, and it will stop popping. There we go. And now we have this wonderful popcorn. We're going to take this, and we're going to dump it into our bowl. And there is our wonderful cinnamon-coated kettle corn. Now, it's kind of hot right now. You want to make sure you let it cool off before you put your hand in there and pop it in your mouth because it's going to be really hot. So let it cool for a moment and it's ready to go. Some of the best treats around Christmas time have to do with popcorn, like the kettle corn. And now we're going to do what I call a cashew Christmas corn. It's a wonderful, absolutely fabulous popcorn with a buttery cashew topping over the top of it. Very simple. Now, to do this, I have my favorite pans that I use, and this right here is an all-clad, all-the-way coated pan. And it's one of my favorite pans to cook Christmas candy in because when you're done, the cleanup is easy and things don't stick and burn on it like they do other pans. It's just my favorite pan. It is a little pricey, but it's absolutely fabulous to have, if only for the holiday season. So what we're going to do, we're going to turn this on to medium-high. And then we're going to add some butter, sugar, some corn syrup, And you're probably saying, Chef Brad cooks so healthy all the time. Well, remember, some foods that aren't quite good for us physically are great for us mentally. And this is one of those mentally good for us foods. Okay, we're going to stir this around in there, and then we're going to add just a little bit of cream of tartar and a dash of salt. And is what's going to happen, we're going to stir this until it comes to a boil, and then after it comes to a boil, it's going to take about 6 minutes or until it reaches the hardball stage. And that means when it goes on the popcorn, it's going to coat it up really nice. So we're just going to stir this. Now, while this is getting ready to go, I'm going to just show you a couple other things. One of the tricks I've learned in doing this, and I've made hundreds of batches of this corn, is to make sure you have a nice bowl and take and spray the bowl. Is what this does is it keeps that caramel from sticking, and cleanup is a cinch when you do this. So I like to spray the bowl and also the pan that I'm going to dump it out on. I'll spray the pan with a little bit of that. That way cleanup is a cinch too, and it doesn't stick, and it's just so much easier to work with. So now we're just going to keep stirring this. It's going to come to a boil. While that's stirring, we're going to measure out our popcorn, and it's about 8 to 10 cups, and I've done this enough. I know by looking about how much that is. So we have about 8 to 10 cups of popcorn in there, and we have our cashews, and I'm going to put the cashews, and you can use any kind of nut. I've used pecans, slivered almonds, pistachios, whatever you want to put in there, you can use. It's kind of turned a nice golden color now, so we know to turn the heat off, and then we're going to add our vanilla and our baking soda, and that's going to cause it to foam up, and that's what we want it to do because it's going to coat the popcorn a lot better. And we just want to make sure that's mixed up in there really, really good. And look how beautiful this non-stick pan is. That is just so great to work with. We have a nice hot pad here to lift it up because it's very hot, and we're going to pour this over the top of the cashews and the popcorn. Scrape the pan really good. Get all of that good stuff out of there. And then I have a couple wooden spoons. I'm just going to take this and toss it. And it really does make it nice that the bowl has been sprayed, because then it's not going to stick to the bowl. And we're not going to have a hard mess to clean up, and it's easier to stir. And I've got this down pretty good where I just do batch after batch, and it goes really fast, and I have a lot of it. And we're going to show you a little bit later on in the show great ways to package this up to give it away during the holiday season. Now we're going to take this and dump it out on our pan that we've sprayed. And we're going to spread this out on the pan and kind of break it up a little bit. And then we're going to let it chill down, and it's going to be kind of brittle, and we can just break it apart. And it's going to be an absolutely wonderful Christmas corn treat. Next, we're going to make another wonderful popcorn treat, and this is a peanut butter popcorn that's absolutely delicious. So we're going to turn our stove on here to about medium-high, and then we're going to add the ingredients to this. And the ingredients are a little bit of zagave, a little bit of Karo syrup, some sugar, and we're going to take these ingredients and we're going to bring them to a boil for about 2 to 3 minutes until it reaches a hardball stage. We had this at a full boil, and it's been boiling for 2 to 3 minutes. Now we're going to turn the heat off, and we're going to add our peanut butter, vanilla, and coconut. So here's our peanut butter. And some coconut. And vanilla. And that's very hot. And then we want to take our wooden spoon and stir that around in there until we melt all that peanut butter. Oh my goodness, that smells so good. And once that's all mixed in there and melted, we want to pour this over our popcorn that we already have measured out in a sprayed bowl. There we go. Just dump that over there. And we're going to toss this up until it coats the popcorn. And you want to make sure you get that sauce at the right temperature so it'll set up. If you don't get it at the right temperature, you'll have a really gooey, sticky popcorn, and you don't want that. So that's all coated. And we have another pan that we're going to spray so it doesn't stick. And remember, we sprayed the bowl. See how that just slides right out? Isn't that great? If you didn't spray the bowl, you'd be scraping it with a little chisel to get it off because it sets up really quickly. And there is our peanut butter corn. We're going to let this cool, and then we'll come back to this in a few minutes. Breads for the holidays are almost as important as Santa Claus. Not quite, but almost. You have to have some really good breads. We're going to do an absolutely wonderful cardamom cherry bread, and we're going to braid it. It's going to be beautiful. So to make breads, of course, we have our Bosch mixer. The first thing we're going to do is we're going to put in our liquid, and we're going to put in about 2 cups of hot water. And then we want to put in a little bit of milk, just a little bit of milk. And then we're going to add our other ingredients. We have some sugar here, some butter, a little bit of salt, and of course, it's a cherry cardamom bread. We have to add the cherries, and these are just a wonderful dried cherry. Put those in there, and our cardamom. And this is oh my goodness, a fresh ground cardamom. And cardamom is really a wonderful Christmas, such a spicy, Christmassy smell. We're going to put the cardamom in there, and then we're going to add some whole grain flour, fresh ground wheat flour, and on top of the flour, in case our water was just a little bit too hot, we're going to add the yeast. Never put the yeast in first because if your water is too hot, it will kill it. Okay, and then we're going to turn this on, and then we're going to add some white flour, natural white flour, unbrominated flour, until it cleans the sides of the bowl. Now we're going to let this go for 6 minutes. After 6 minutes, we're going to pull it out, and we're going to form it into our loaves. We're going to put a little bit of oil on the counter, and I just kind of like to oil down my hand in the counter. And then when you reach the dough out of here, it's a lot easier if you have a little bit of oil on your hand. And look at that beautiful texture of that dough. Oh my goodness. Lovely texture. Oh, and it smells so good. You can smell the cardamom in there, and it's just so silky and smooth. So I'm going to take this and divide it into 3 equal pieces. And then I'm going to take each piece, and I'm going to roll it out. Okay, we have each piece, it's a little over 1 foot long. Beautiful. Last piece, and it doesn't really matter if they're exact, because the way it braids up is going to be nice. Now I'm going to spray my pan so it's ready to go, and then I'm going to take this, and if I think about it, I can't do it, so I just have to go really fast and start braiding. If I think about it, it doesn't always work out right. Okay, there we have a beautiful braided bread. Now we're going to take this and place it right in our pan. Now we're going to let this rise until it's double, which will mean it'll come over the top of this, and then we'll bake it in a 400-degree preheated oven. We'll drop the temperature down and bake it for about 25 to 30 minutes in a 335-degree oven. Then we'll have this beautiful cherry cardamom bread. Now we're going to let our cardamom cherry bread rise. While that's rising, I'm going to make you one of my favorite appetizers that I do during the holidays. Actually, I do this all year long, but it's really a favorite during the holiday season. We're going to make a baked brie. Right here I have my puff pastry squares, and you can buy puff pastry sheets in your local supermarket in the frozen food section. And I have my little pan we're going to bake it in, and of course you have to have brie. And I have the things that we're going to put inside of it. We have some cashews and some fig jam, although raspberry jam or apricot jam would be great also. So we have our brie here. We're going to open this up. And you can use any size of brie. They have little ones, they have wedges, whatever you want to do. I've done many things. I've even done little miniature appetizer ones where you cut these in little squares and take a little chunk of the brie and bake it like that. Absolutely wonderful. So we're going to pull the paper off of the brie, but we're going to leave this on. The white film, we're going to leave that on there. So we're going to set this aside and prepare our puff pastry. Now to do this, we have our pastry, and we're going to take this and lay it down on the counter, and it's kind of moist, and we want it to kind of fill. So we're going to put these down like this. And if you have a large sheet, you don't have to worry about this. So we're going to take this, and we're going to take a rolling pin, and with our rolling pin, we're going to roll this to where it fills it. Beautiful. There we go. Now it's nice and filled. And so that is what we're going to do. This is going to be the top because we're going to flip it over. So we're going to take our fig jam and just pour that right out on the top. And that's probably about a half a cup of fig jam. And fig is my very favorite way to do this. And then we're going to put nuts on the top of that. And we're going to take our brie, right like this, and we're going to place that right down on the top. And then we're going to lift the sides up like this, pull it up over, and just push it down. It's moist, so it'll crimp up there really nice. You want to fill it in so none of the jam escapes. We're just going to press that, fill it around, lift it up, so our bottom becomes our top, and we're going to take this and place it in our oven-safe bake pan, and we're going to bake this in a 400-degree oven for about 20 to 25 minutes. It'll puff up, and as what happens, it gets really puffy and large. The cheese is melty on the inside, and the way you serve it is with a knife, a nice butter knife, and crackers or sliced baguettes on the side. It's absolutely wonderful. People love this during the holidays. I don't know about you, but one of the things I struggle with most during the holiday season is how to package up all those wonderful little treats that I make for people or things that I want to give away. I struggled with that for years, but I've come up with a few solutions, and I wanted to take a moment and share that with you. You know, I found a little place in my neighborhood that's a little kind of restaurant supply store, and there in every neighborhood you can find one. Some place that supplies the restaurants, like even a Smart and Final or Sam's Club or Costco will carry some of the products I'm going to talk about. And they're inexpensive and they work great. One of my favorite things that I use during the holiday season are these little metal foil pans that you can buy. And you can get them with lids on them. These are great for doing things like fudge, but also if you want to take someone a meal during the holiday season, these are absolutely wonderful. And as what I'll do is I'll put my meal in here, and on the top of it, I'll write the cooking instructions. And sometimes for Christmas, that's what I give someone, a freezer meal, like a lasagna or a baked ziti or a meatloaf or something like that they can just put into the freezer and use later on for something else. And then they have these little smaller ones. I've done things like the baked brie in this, or if you want to do something they warm up, or a few dinner rolls or a couple cinnamon rolls, or even things like your fudge. I'll pour the fudge of these and put a lid on it, and it's a great thing to do. And then you can write instructions on the top or put a bow on the top, and you're good to go. These little containers are great in all different sizes for whatever you want to do, from salsas to jams, freezer jams. And the thing I do in some of these is I'll even make my own pancake and waffle mix and put them in these. And with computers, so accessible nowadays, you can print your own labels, even in color, and put a label on it. I do that all the time. Merry Christmas from the Petersons pancake mix, and maybe a little tiny recipe on there of how to make a syrup or something. Great little items to have. I absolutely love these. I found these a few years ago, and these are what they do takeout food in Oriental places, and sometimes you can even get them with the little metal bar on it and tie a ribbon on it. These are great for like the popcorns that we've done. What a great thing to put the popcorn in. These cost pennies per container, and they're absolutely wonderful. They fold up beautifully. They're easy to decorate. You can put little designs on them. Have the kids color them if you have small children. A great thing to put food in. These are just a few of the containers, and I absolutely love these. These are so pretty. You could even do a nice little salad. You know, if you have elderly people in your neighborhood, sometimes they get tired of cooking for themselves. And how nice to prepare some little meals that you can just put this on, put a bow on it, and deliver it. And these cost pennies also. Absolutely wonderful. I'm sure at your local store you can find other things. Online you can find all kinds of different containers that just make giving a little bit easier and a lot more fun. I hope you've enjoyed this holiday tip, and I hope it helps you not only during the holidays, but all year long as you give the foods that you create to your friends and neighbors. Have you ever baked a cake in a jar? I love to do that. You can do your holiday baking in July, and it sets actually for years. If they don't have time to eat it during the holiday season, they can eat it later on. You need a wide mouth jar so the cake will actually slide out. And you can use smaller jars or larger jars. The trick is only fill them up a little over half full, because when they bake, it'll bake right up to the top. Once they come out of the oven, you put the sterilized lids on the top and they seal. Once these little jars are sealed, they will stay on your shelf for years. It's a great gift to give, especially sometimes during the holiday season. We have too much to eat. It's a great treat to eat later on. And because it fills in the jar, it stays really moist and wonderful for a long time. So we're going to show you how to do that right now. We have our mixer, and we're just going to add our ingredients to the mixer. We have some applesauce here. Now remember, we're not giving you quantities. All the recipes will be on the website. And we have some nuts, some raisins, 1 egg, some brown sugar, and we have light and dark mixed. I really like to do that. And then we have our flour here that we're going to dump in. And then we're going to turn this on and just mix it all together. And then we have some butter we're going to drop in there. And we're going to whip this up until it's well mixed. And we're going to take this and scoop it into our jars. We want to make sure the jars are sprayed. We're just going to spray a little bit of this down on the inside of each jar. Make sure it's coated nicely so it'll slide out when it's done. There we go. And we're going to take these and fill them up a little over half. So it's going to be about 2 scoops. Perfect. Just knock that down in there, and then it's going to bake up beautifully. We're going to fill all of these jars up, put them in an oven and bake them until they're done. We're going to pull them out of the oven, put the lid on while they're still hot, and they're going to seal perfectly. What would the holiday season be like without a cheese dip, a cheese ball, or something cheesy? One of my favorites we're going to do right now, it's a sun-dried tomato. I call it kind of a tort. The way we're going to do it, we're going to layer it in a dish, put it in the refrigerator and let it chill down, and then you turn it over and dump it out and you cut into it. Absolutely wonderful. So the first thing we have here are some chopped pistachios and some pesto, and we're going to mix these two together. We're just going to stir them together and make a wonderful pistachio pesto kind of, but it's a little bit thicker than that. And in our mixer, we're going to mix some cheeses together. We have some cream cheese that's at room temperature, so it's going to whip up really nice. So we're just going to drop this in. We have some blue cheese. Now, if you're not a blue cheese fan, you can use some of those sweet goat cheeses or something like that. But I personally love blue cheese. And then we have some fresh grated Parmesan cheese. We're going to put these in our blender, and we're just going to whip them all together. Now, we have our little dish here, a loaf pan, and we're going to take and spread things. So the first thing we're going to do on the very top is we're going to put some of these sun-dried tomatoes on the very, very top. And you can chop these up if you want, but the way I serve this, I love to get a great big sun-dried tomato. And then we're going to take some of this cheese. It's going to be the next layer. We're going to take some cheese and just spread that out on there. And we're going to take a spoon and just kind of press that down. And then over the top of that, we're going to take some of this pistachio nut pesto. So it's going to be kind of leveled. And we're going to spread that out. Okay, beautiful. And then we're going to take some more cheese and put the cheese on the top of this. And if you want to finish it off with some of the pesto on the bottom, it's totally up to you how you want to do this. Now, what I do at this point is I'll take another piece of parchment paper and I'll just kind of press this down and press it in there to where it's in there nice, beautiful. And just fold this over, and then I'm going to set this in the refrigerator until it's nice and firm. And then I'm going to dump it out, put crackers around it or cut up bread, and that's how we're going to serve it. Absolutely wonderful cheese for the holidays. I think one of the longest and oldest holiday traditions probably has to be fudge. I can't imagine Christmas or the holiday season without fudge. And a good fudge is just amazing. I have this fudge recipe I use. You're going to absolutely love it. So easy and so simple. A couple key ingredients. You need a really nice pan to cook it in, a heavy-duty pan, whether it's nonstick or not. The trick for making candy is really the quality of the pan that you use. But if you don't have a pan like this, a heavy-duty saucepan is what you want to use to make your candy with. So we're going to take this and we're going to turn it on to medium-high heat. So the first thing we're going to add to this is 1 can of evaporated canned milk. And pretty simple. We always have this in our pantry, a great product to have around. And then a 1/2 pound of butter. 2 cups of sugar. Perfect. And then we're just going to stir this until it comes to a boil. And once it comes to a boil, we'll start timing. Now, while this is good and ready to go, I can get the rest of my ingredients ready. And this is what I always do. I get this started because this is the longest time of this whole process, is bringing this to a boil. So we've got that mixed up. We're going to set that aside for a minute. Now we're going to add the rest of our ingredients to our Bosch mixer. And you thought this was just for making bread. Well, it's absolutely wonderful for making fudge. So we have our marshmallow cream here, and this is just the Jet Puff marshmallow cream, a big jar. I know they sell the smaller ones. Use 2 if it's a smaller jar. So we're just going to take this stuff, and isn't this the gooeyest, messiest stuff in the world to work with? Oh, it's just so messy. Right in the beginning, it's just messy. Now, one of the other things, I have some chocolate chips, not a whole lot, but I'm going to show you why in just a moment. We're going to add our chocolate chips to that, some pecans or walnuts or whatever your favorite is, and the secret ingredient, well, I guess the secret's going to be out now, to my fudge, is Heath Bar toffee pieces. These are toffee pieces covered in chocolate, and I actually buy them in bulk because I add them to cookies and other things, but they are absolutely amazing in fudge. These make the fudge so delicious and toffee-like and fluffy and wonderful. I could go on explaining how amazing this fudge is, but the toffee really adds to it. And you have to be careful. They have 2 kinds at the store. They have the little bags with the little pieces of toffee that don't have chocolate on them, or they have the big bags that do have chocolate on them. That's the kind I buy. And if you have a Smart and Final in your neighborhood, that's the store where they sell the big 5-pound bags. And those are a staple in my pantry for things like this. And the other times here, when I'm not making fudge, I throw them in cookies, and they're absolutely wonderful. So we're going to stir this, and once it comes to a boil, we're going to boil it for 9 minutes, and then we're going to take it and pour it in here. We'll just give it just another moment. While we're waiting for that, we're going to go ahead and spray our pans that we're going to pour the fudge into. We have all of our ingredients in our Bosch bowl ready to go. And so what we're going to do now is we're going to go ahead and turn off our heat, turn off our timer. It's right there. And we're going to take this hot, bubbly, you would think this would ruin the Bosch, but I promise it won't. And we're going to pour this into the Bosch, nice and bubbly, and we're going to add our vanilla on top of that. Beautiful. And then we're going to take this, turn our Bosch on, and just slowly don't turn it on full speed, just kind of slowly turn it on until everything goes around. Then once it goes around, just let it whip for a couple minutes. And what that does is that whips air into it, and it's going to cool it down a lot faster. Oh my goodness. so good. I love the smell of fudge. It's just so Christmassy to have the smell of fudge. And even better than the smell is the taste, as you put it in your mouth and just eat a couple pounds of it. Okay, after we whipped it for a couple moments, we're going to go ahead and turn this off. It's already starting to set. We're going to pull out our whips, set them to the side, and we're going to take this and pour this into our prepared pans. And you can see how it's already starting to sit on the top. That's just what we want to see happen. Oh, it's beautiful. If you want to use a bigger pan to have smaller pieces, sometimes, and we'll talk about this more a little bit later, I have little containers. I'll pour this all into little containers. And that way, I don't have to cut it. I can just give the little container away for Christmas, and I'm done. And you can see the top of it's already starting to set. This is going to be great. You're going to absolutely love this fudge recipe. I hope you all try it. Remember, all the recipes for today's show and all of our shows are at chefbrad.com or byutv.org. A few years ago, I had the opportunity to go down to Chile, and you won't believe it, but I spent most of my time in the kitchen working with the maid, learning how to do some of their wonderful Chilean dishes. One of the things that I fell in love with was it's kind of like a potato salad, but it's a beet salad. And the thing I loved about it the most was the beautiful color that it turned out when you were done. But it's kind of like our American potato salad, but in place of potatoes, they put beets. And it's absolutely delicious and simple. And of course, I had to add red quinoa to it when I got home, and that even made it better. So we're gonna throw that together for you right now. Very simple. We have some hard-boiled eggs and our beets. And you can use fresh or canned beets, whichever one that you want to use. A little bit of red quinoa, some wonderful chopped onions, and this is really what makes this salad great, is a little bit of fresh lemon juice. And we're just going to pour this over that. Now, the last thing we're going to do is we're going to scoop some mayonnaise into this. And then we're going to mix mayonnaise until we get it to where we want. So a nice spoon of mayonnaise here. And then we're going to take and just mix this all together. And you can already see the beautiful color that it's turning into. It's just going to be delicious. And there it is, very simple, a Chilean beet salad in perfect time for the holiday season. This is going to really add some color to your holiday party. And we're just going to pour this in our bowl right here. Absolutely beautiful Chilean beet salad. Stay with us. More of the Fusion Grain Cooking Christmas New Year special coming right up. Beverages are great for the holiday season, and I'm going to share with you two of my favorite recipes. I love to do beverages, and pretty much everything I do equals a gallon. So I do things in terms of gallons, if it'll make a gallon, because I have a big family, and I always like to make things by the gallon and make them up ahead of time so I have them. We're doing an eggnog, and one of my favorites is called Pineapple Basil Dream. My children call it Christmas tree. It reminds them of a Christmas tree. Wonderful beverages. So for the eggnog, it's a cooked eggnog. Now the recipe will be on the website at chefbrad.com or byutv.org. But we've already done the cooking part of it. You actually make a caramel sauce and you cook the eggs and the milk in a double broiler. That way you kill anything that might be in the eggs, and it makes it kind of thick and creamy. We have our nutmeg and everything to that. So we're just going to add a little bit of almond extract to that. And then we have some whipped cream already done up, and we're just going to pour this whipped cream in here. And we're just going to whip the whipped cream into the eggnog. And this is a wonderful, absolutely delicious eggnog. One of my very favorites, the best eggnog I've ever had. And this I would just serve with a nice ladle on it. It's going to chill very nicely, and it's going to keep fresh. If you set it in the refrigerator for a day, just whisk it again right before you serve it. But you know, I can tell you, you're not going to have any left over. There's not going to be left to go in the refrigerator. The next beverage, we have our blender here, and it takes a high-powered, either a Vitamix or a Blendtec blender to make this type of a drink. We have fresh pineapple, the core and all, and this is half of a pineapple. And we're going to put this in here. And then to that, we're going to add a big handful of fresh basil. We're just going to kind of twist off the stems and just stuff that fresh basil in there. Then we're going to put the lid on here, and we're going to turn this on, and we're going to pulverize it until you can't even see any leaves. It's just a beautiful Christmassy green color. There we go. Nothing like the power of a powerful blender. And you can see the little leaves in there. We want to puree that until you can't see that. And it just takes a moment. See, they're disappearing very quickly. There you go. Absolutely beautiful. Turn this off. Now, what you can do, if you have a gallon jar container, you can take this, pour it in a container, and then fill it up the rest of the way with water, and you have a gallon. This makes a gallon of what we call pineapple basil dream. Oh, and it smells dreamy. That's why we call it that. And we're going to pour this in here, half of it in here, and half of it in here, and we're good to go. There's our pineapple basil dream. We just need to stir this up a little bit and pour it in a glass with ice. And it's the most refreshing holiday drink I could ever even imagine drinking. Absolutely wonderful. The holiday season is all about decorating, and one of the most important parts about decorating is your table. So we're going to take a few minutes and show you how to decorate your table for whether it's a sit-down dinner or for a buffet, if you do a lot of entertaining. And the one thing I like about some of the ideas we're going to show you today is you can set them up and leave them during the holiday season and maybe make a few changes here and there, but it's going to be something you can have all during the holiday season. The first thing we're going to show you is setting the table. And one thing I love to do is, isn't the Christmas season or the holiday season all about memories? And so I've taken some of my family's favorite photos, and what I've done is I put down a white tablecloth and a little bit of construction paper. You can do anything you want with that for color. Ribbons underneath if you want to put ribbons, whatever you want to do. And then I've taken that wonderful plastic that you can get at the fabric store, and it's the middle of the line one. You don't want the really thin one or the really thick one. This is kind of in the middle, and I've put that over the top. But before I put it over the top, I put different pictures of different Christmases down. Like this one, for example, over here is from 23 years ago. This is me with my first little boy. And I look at these pictures, and I immediately am overwhelmed with memories. My in-laws are down here, and family pictures, and little children. And this is a great idea, a conversation thing where you're sitting down to eat dinner. People can look at the pictures around them and talk about memories about past holidays. It's a wonderful idea to do. Another great idea is you can put past Christmas cards. Everyone sends pictures nowadays for Christmas cards. That would be a great place to put those pictures from last year or previous years. Now, for setting the buffet table, I'm going to show you a few tricks I've learned over the years. I worked at a private club for years, and one of my responsibilities was decorating the buffet tables, and I learned how to really improvise. We didn't really have a budget, but I learned how to go through the club and just pull things off of the shelf and incorporate it in the buffet table to make it really fun. Elevations are important. You want a little bit of different levels on there. It really catches people's eyes. So the first thing I do at the buffet table is I just get some boxes. And it depends on what you do. If you want a little bit of height, you can leave the box up like that. If you wanted it lower, you could do that. You could put multiple boxes. I've used milk crates. I've even used pans and bowls if I want different heights along the table. And then you just take a cloth, and any color you want. I kind of like white because it kind of shows off some of the things that you're going to put on it. So then we have and you just want to kind of build this around. It's not any science to get it on there. You just want to make sure the box is covered up. And you don't worry if you can see things through this, because you're going to put so much stuff on here, they're not going to be able to tell anyway. Now, what do you do for decorating the top of this? And it can be something simple like just going through the house and picking up things, or you can buy certain things. You know, if you want to do things like this for the holiday, some things like this you can just put on the table to add a little bit of height to it. Glasses are a great thing to do, to take glass things and put candles in them, or just to have them on the table, just to add a little bit of height. But they're really great when you add little candles, like little tea candles or votive candles inside of the glasses, because the reflections are going to be really nice, and it's going to add more height to the table. And you know, the pumpkins, you have during Thanksgiving, you can spray paint them with gold. You can have a little bit more color on there, add a little bit of gold or red or whatever you want to do to add color. Spray paint is a great thing. This is a little tea kettle that we use. You can just put that on there to bring a little bit of reds in there. This is a cookbook. This gold, it has gold on it. This was just sitting on the shelf. I thought, oh, how fun. That's going to go in there, and it reflects. It adds kind of a nice color and a little bit of different texture to the table. If you want a little bit of greenery, you can just pick up or go outside and trim your lemon tree if you live where there's lemon trees. But you can add, just a little bit of greenery to the table and just spread it around. It doesn't really matter where you put it. Or you can do something like this, and this really could be any time of the year wreath, but it works great for the holidays. You just take the roses and kind of wind it up through the table. And then, you have your platters, and always, make room. You have room to set your platters. Have room if you want a platter up there filled with cookies or something like that down there. So you see the dishes are kind of set up in wherever you have your things going on. Candles really add a lot to it. This is one of our grain candles that we rolled in grains. And then, of course, you can buy the inexpensive candles, but a lot of it is about smell too, and so we like to use the really nicer candles on the table to add smell. And this is a wonderful Christmas smell, a Gold Canyon candle. We can just kind of set this right here, and I'll move this little piece right over there. And so we're going to get the smell and the color. And then if you want to just add some little things around, to decorate it up a little bit more, put these around. And these are just little inexpensive things that you can sprinkle around the table. One of my favorite things to do is to put chocolates all over my buffet table. And you can have them I just pile them around. And people love that. They can actually kind of snack as they're going along and picking up their food. And these colors are great. Whether it's Hershey's Kisses or, it really doesn't matter. Just to add some color to the table. The gold and the silver on there is just so pretty. So you see, it's pretty endless what you can do. And then if you want to put some ribbons, you can just take ribbons and add a little bit of ribbon over the table to add some color. A little bit of red ribbon if you want. I think you're kind of getting the idea, aren't you? It really doesn't matter. Just give us some height, clutter it with things that look pretty, that add color, and you'll have a beautiful centerpiece for serving your beautiful holiday food, whether it's for just a simple dinner party or a big buffet where you have a lot of friends and family over. We hope this has been an important holiday tip for you and how to make decorating a little bit more easy for your holiday season. Look at all this beautiful food. Isn't it amazing? We did all this in an hour. Amazing, isn't it? I just want to talk about a couple of the items and just show you. The mason jar cakes. They've all filled. They're still very hot. We just took them out of the oven a couple minutes ago, and they're filled. And look at this. They just slide right out. Isn't that beautiful? You can slice it up, serve it. Oh my goodness, delightful little thing. Now, if they bake too tall, we just slice off the top and put the lid on. It works perfectly. Absolutely beautiful. The popcorns turned out great. The kettle corn, the cashew, and the peanut butter popcorns are absolutely beautiful. Here's our beautiful fudge. It turned out perfect. In fact, I have a piece right here waiting for me just to taste. Oh my gosh. That is the best fudge I've ever made. I say that every year though, but it is really wonderful fudge. You're gonna love it. Get that little taste of toffee in there. Absolutely delicious. If you want it a little bit darker fudge, just put a few more chocolate chips in there and use a dark chocolate. It'll be a little bit darker. Here are our beverages. Look at this beautiful, creamy, thick eggnog. Oh my goodness, absolutely wonderful. Just ladle this over some ice. I'm a messy ladler. Oh, eggnog should be creamy and wonderful. This eggnog with that little touch of almond in there. If you don't like almond, maybe use a little orange extract or something. Absolutely delicious. And then we can't forget the pineapple basil dream, or what my kids fondly call Christmas tree drink. Isn't that a pretty color for Christmas? It's so green and refreshing. Absolutely delicious drink. The ham turned out beautiful. Nice, and the top here that looks like it's a little burnt, that's the fat. You remove the fat and you have this beautiful, wonderful, tender ham under here. We'll just move the slice away. Absolutely beautiful. It's juicy. Look at the juice just coming off of that. Absolutely wonderful, beautiful ham. You're going to love that. The chicken wings are beautiful. Oh, nice and spicy. I love chicken wings. They're absolutely delicious. One of my favorite things, two of my favorite things we've done here tonight. The baked brie. I just want to cut this open for you and show you what it looks like on the inside. You cut this open and look at, you have this beautiful melted brie cheese in there with that, well, I'm sorry, I have to try it, with that wonderful fig jam, and look at the cashews on there. Oh, this is going to be so good. I just know it. Oh my goodness. Oh my goodness. My knees are starting to shake. It just tastes so good. You know, anytime I've ever made this, this is always one of the most popular holiday dishes that I've ever made. Everyone absolutely loves that. Look at the torte. Isn't this absolutely beautiful? This is the one we layered. Remember, we layered it with the sun-dried tomatoes and the different cheeses and the pistachio basil in the middle. Absolutely beautiful. Great way to serve cheese. And I have to try just a little bit of this on a nice bread with the other cheese. I'm in cheese heaven. You gotta love blue cheese to love this. So there again, if you don't love blue cheese, substitute another cheese. But the taste is just so strong and so wonderful. The Chilean beet salad is absolutely beautiful over there. And look at our loaf of cardamom cherry bread. Isn't that pretty? Absolutely pretty. If you made smaller loaves, that would be a great gift to give away during the holiday season. I hope you have enjoyed our 1 hour Christmas, New Year's special as much as I've enjoyed cooking all this food. It's so wonderful. We're going to have a party now and enjoy all this wonderful food. And we certainly wish you a Merry Christmas and a Happy New Year. And we hope that your life is filled with wonderful foods that make you happy and make you smile all the time. Happy holidays from all of us at Fusion Grain Cooking.